Once upon a time, in a busy part of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Amara. She was 28 years old, kind-hearted, and strong in a quiet way. Her brown skin always glowed under the sun, even though life was not easy for her. Every morning, she tied her baby, Chiamaka, on her back with a faded wrapper and pushed a small wheelbarrow filled with oranges to sell by the roadside. That was how she survived each day. Amara was not like other women who complained loudly about their problems. She hardly spoke, but her eyes told stories. Stories of pain, hope, and love for the little child she carried everywhere. People in the neighborhood respected her. They said she had a soft spirit, one that never fought back no matter how hard life pushed her. That afternoon, the sky turned gray. The clouds looked heavy, and thunder rumbled from a distance. Amara looked up and sighed. "Please, God, not now," she whispered. She still had half a basket of oranges left, and the rain would spoil everything. She hurriedly pushed her wheelbarrow closer to the roadside shelter, hoping to find a place to cover her fruits. But before she could get there, the rain began to fall, first slowly, then heavily. People ran for cover. Cars honked loudly, tires splashing muddy water on everyone nearby. Amara bent over her baby, trying to shield her with an old piece of nylon. The rain soaked her completely, but she didn't care. All she wanted was to keep Chiamaka dry. Across the road, a sleek black SUV rolled slowly into view. Inside the car sat Ngozi, a rich woman in her 30s. Her skin glowed, her nails were polished, and a diamond earring glittered against her cheek. She was the kind of woman who liked people to stare when she passed. She always believed money made her better than everyone else. Ngozi looked out through her tinted window and frowned at the muddy street. "This Lagos rain again," she said sharply. "Driver, hurry up. I don't have time to sit in traffic." Her driver, a quiet elderly man, looked ahead nervously. "Madam, please, there's a big puddle in front. Maybe we should slow down." But Ngozi rolled her eyes. "Just go through it. These poor people should learn to get out of the road. If they don't want to get wet, they should stay at home." The driver hesitated, but one glare from Ngozi made him obey. He pressed the accelerator and the car sped through the puddle. The next second, everything happened so fast. A wave of dirty brown water flew from the road and crashed straight into Amara. It splashed all over her, her face, her wrapper, even the baby on her back. Amara gasped. Her oranges rolled away into the mud. Chiamaka started to cry loudly. People around shouted in anger. "Ah, madam, you no-see person for road?" one man yelled. But Ngozi only looked into her side mirror, saw the mess behind her, and laughed. Her laughter was sharp and cold. "These ones act like rain will kill them," she said, fixing her hair. "Drive on." The car disappeared down the road, leaving behind a shocked silence. Amara stood still for a moment, frozen in place. The rain continued to fall hard, mixing with the muddy water dripping from her hair. Her baby cried louder. Slowly, she lifted her head, eyes wide and filled with tears. She looked down at her soaked wrapper and ruined fruits. An old woman selling roasted corn nearby rushed to her side. "My daughter, sorry, oh. Some people have no heart," she said softly. Amara tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "It's fine," she whispered. "I'll pick them up." She knelt in the mud and began to gather her oranges one by one, her hands shaking. Each fruit seemed heavier than before. She placed them back in the wheelbarrow even though they were already dirty. At that moment, a young boy, about 14 years old, stood under a shop shade holding his phone. His name was Chibuike. He had been filming the whole thing. His clothes were wet too, but his eyes were fierce with anger. He looked at the video again, the proud woman's laughter, the splash, the crying baby. He clenched his fist. "She'll regret this," he muttered. He walked over to Amara slowly. "Auntie," he said in a small voice, "please don't cry." Amara turned, surprised. "What?" "I saw everything," he said. "I recorded it. That woman can't just do this and walk away." Amara shook her head. "No, my child, don't bother. The world doesn't care about people like me." "But I care," Chibuike said. His tone was firm. "People need to see how she treated you. Maybe she'll learn a lesson." Amara looked at him for a long moment. Her lips trembled again, but she didn't stop him. She simply nodded. "Thank you, but promise me you won't get in trouble for this." The boy smiled faintly. "I won't." My name is Chibuike. One day I'll buy oranges from you when you have a big shop. That made Amara laugh weakly for the first time that day. From your mouth to God's ears, she said. The rain began to slow. Amara used the corner of her wrapper to wipe her baby's face. The baby had stopped crying now, only sniffing softly. Amara whispered, "It's okay, my angel. Mama's fine." She pushed her wheelbarrow again, her steps heavy in the mud. Every eye on the street followed her as she left, but she kept her head down. The shame burned inside her chest, but she didn't let it show. Behind her, Chibuike stood under the dripping shop roof, staring at his phone screen. The video played again. The splash, the laughter, the crying mother. His jaw tightened. "Let the world see," he said quietly, pressed upload. He didn't know that one simple tap on his phone would soon change both their lives forever. As Amara disappeared into the distance, her baby's soft whimper was the only sound left against the dying rain. The puddles reflected her figure like a broken mirror, one half covered in mud, the other shining with quiet strength. And far away, in her dry car with tinted windows, Ngozi leaned back on her seat, still unaware that someone had been watching. The sky grew darker as Amara pushed her muddy wheelbarrow down the narrow street. The rain had slowed, but water still dripped from every rooftop, forming little streams that ran along the road. Her wrapper clung to her legs, heavy and cold. Her baby, Chiamaka, whimpered softly on her back, her small hands gripping Amara's blouse. Amara's heart hurt, not just from the cold, but from the humiliation. Every time she blinked, she saw the splash again. That wave of dirty water, the laughter from the car, the people staring. Her body trembled, but she refused to cry in front of them. When she reached the corner of the street, she stopped under a zinc shade near an abandoned shop. She placed the wheelbarrow down and untied Chiamaka from her back. The baby's small face was covered in mud. Amara wiped it gently with a wet handkerchief. "My baby, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "You didn't deserve that." The baby only blinked, too young to understand, but her little hand touched Amara's cheek. That touch broke something inside her. Amara leaned against the wall and covered her face with her hands. Silent tears began to fall, mixing with the rainwater on her cheeks. For a long time, she didn't move. The street around her had gone quiet. Cars still passed, splashing through puddles, but she didn't look up. She felt invisible, like the world didn't care if she existed or not. Then a small voice spoke beside her. "Auntie, please don't cry." Amara looked up quickly. Standing in front of her was the same boy from before, Chibuike. His clothes were still damp, and he was holding a small nylon bag with a loaf of bread inside. His eyes looked serious for someone his age. She sniffed and wiped her face with her sleeve. "Oh, it's you again," she said softly. "You should be home. You'll catch cold in this rain." Chibuike shook his head. "I'm fine. I came to give you this." He stretched out the nylon bag. "It's just bread, but you and your baby can eat it." Amara blinked, surprised. "You bought this for us?" He nodded shyly. "I used the money my uncle gave me to buy lunch. I'm not hungry." Amara's eyes filled with tears again. "You're such a good boy. May God bless you." She took the bread and sat down beside her wheelbarrow. "What's your name?" "Chibuike," he said proudly. "And you?" "Amara." He smiled. "That's a nice name. My grandma says it means grace." Amara nodded slowly. "Yes, grace. That's all I have left." For a while, they just sat there in silence. The sound of the dripping rain filled the air. Amara tore a small piece of bread and gave it to her baby, who chewed it happily. She then looked at Chibuike and asked, "Why did you come back? You already helped me." Chibuike hesitated, then took out his small phone. "Because of this," he said. "I recorded what that woman did. Look." Amara leaned forward, shocked. On the small cracked screen, she saw it. Everything. The black SUV, the splash, the laughter. Her own face twisted in pain as she picked up her oranges. Her heart pounded. You recorded all that?" "Yes," he said firmly. "People need to see how wicked she was. It's not fair. She can't just drive away like nothing happened." Amara shook her head slowly. "My son, please, don't cause trouble because of me. Just delete it." "No!" Chibuike's voice rose. "Auntie, this is proof. You didn't do anything wrong. Why should she get away with it? Amara sighed and looked down. Because that's how the world is. The rich do what they want, and the poor just survive. Chibuike's eyes narrowed. Maybe before, but not today. He stood up, scrolling through his phone quickly. I'm posting it online. People will see. Amara reached out quickly. Wait. But it was too late. He had already pressed upload. The phone buzzed as the video started sending. Amara covered her mouth. Oh God, she whispered. What have you done? Chibuike smiled a little. I did what's right. You'll see. He looked proud, but Amara was scared. Do you even know what could happen? That woman looked dangerous. Chibuike shrugged. Let her be dangerous. She can't touch everyone. The internet is bigger than her. Amara didn't understand much about social media, but the confidence in his voice made her curious. What did you write with it? The truth, he said. I said, this rich woman splashed dirty water on a mother and laughed. Help me find her. Amara gasped. You even said I'm a mother? Yes, people will care more, he said simply. Amara didn't know whether to thank him or beg him to take it down. She just sat quietly, holding her baby and staring into the distance. The rain had stopped now. The air smelled fresh, and faint sunlight broke through the clouds. Chibuike looked at her. Do you live around here? She nodded. Down the next street. I sell fruits by the junction every day. Then I'll come and check on you tomorrow, he said. She smiled weakly. You don't need to. You've already done more than enough. He shook his head. I want to see what happens. Maybe something good will come out of it. Amara chuckled softly. You talk like an old man. He grinned. That's what my teacher says. A group of young men walked by, laughing loudly. One of them looked at Amara and said, Auntie, now that woman way that wicked madam splash water on Abi? Chibuike nodded. Yes, that's her. I recorded it. The boy's eyes widened. Serious? Guy, that video go blow-o. Chibuike smiled shyly. Maybe. Amara felt her heart beat faster. Please don't spread it more, she begged softly. But the boys had already run off, talking excitedly about posting it too. Amara sighed and looked at the boy. This thing might bring trouble. Chibuike looked calm. Maybe it will bring justice instead. He looked up at the sky. The clouds had started to clear completely now and birds were flying again. He picked up his small nylon bag. I have to go home before my uncle starts shouting, he said. Amara stood up and wiped her face. Thank you again. I'll never forget what you did today. He smiled. Don't thank me yet. Just wait and see. Then he ran off down the street, splashing through puddles, holding his phone tightly like it was something powerful. Amara watched him go, a strange feeling growing inside her. Fear mixed with a little hope. She turned to her wheelbarrow, checked her remaining oranges, and whispered to herself, Grace, please don't fail me now. She began to push again, slowly, heading toward home. As she walked, people still whispered when they saw her. Some pointed, others looked away. She tried to stay calm, but inside she was breaking. When she reached her small house, a single room behind an old compound, she unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room smelled damp, and the roof dripped water from the rain. She placed the baby on the bed and sat on the floor, exhausted. Her neighbor, Maman-Kiru, peeked in. Ah, Amara, you came back late. The rain must have dealt with you. Amara nodded weakly. Yes, it did. Maman-Kiru entered and saw the wet clothes. Hey, what happened? You look like you bathed inside a gutter, Amara sighed. A rich woman splashed dirty water on me while driving. She laughed and just drove off. Maman-Kiru gasped. Ha! These people with money, no fear of God. Amara shrugged. Maybe one day she will understand. Maman-Kiru sat beside her. So you just let her go? Amara hesitated. Someone recorded it. A boy. He said he would post it online. Maman-Kiru's eyes widened. Hey? Then your face is on the internet now. Amara frowned. Is that bad? The older woman sighed. I don't know. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it brings wahala. They both sat in silence for a moment. Then Maman-Kiru smiled softly. Don't worry. God sees everything. Maybe he will use that boy's video for something good. Amara smiled faintly. I hope so. That night, after feeding her baby with the last bit of bread, she lay down on the small mattress and stared at the ceiling. Drops of water still fell from the leaking roof, making small, dark circles on the floor. Her mind couldn't rest. She kept hearing that woman's laughter, seeing the wave of muddy water crash over her again and again. She turned to her side and looked at her sleeping baby. "Someday," she whispered, "we'll have a better life. You'll never go through what I go through." Outside, the sound of frogs filled the night air. The city lights flickered faintly through the window. Amara closed her eyes, still unaware that far across town, something was already happening. In another part of Lagos, in a big mansion with shining floors and golden curtains, Ngozi sat on her couch sipping wine. Her phone lay beside her, buzzing again and again, but she ignored it. Her maid entered nervously. "Madam, your phone is ringing non-stop," Ngozi sighed. "People have no respect for privacy?" She picked up the phone and frowned when she saw her business partner's name. "What does he want this late?" she muttered and answered. "Hello?" The man's voice came fast. "Ngozi, have you seen it?" "Seen what?" "The video. You're all over the internet." Ngozi sat up. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Check your phone now." She switched to her browser and tapped the trending link that flashed her name. As the video started playing, her hand froze. There she was, her own face behind the car window, laughing as the water splashed over a crying woman and her baby. Her mouth went dry. The caption under the video read, "Heartless rich woman humiliates poor mother in Lagos rain." Her hands shook as she scrolled through the comments. "Monster! Shame on you! She laughed at a baby! People like her don't deserve money." Her heart pounded. "What is this?" she whispered. The maid peeked at her phone and gasped. "Madam, that's you!" Ngozi threw the phone on the sofa. "Get out!" she shouted. The maid ran off, terrified. Ngozi stood up and began pacing. "This can't be happening," she muttered. "Someone must have edited it." But deep inside, she knew it wasn't edited. It was real. She had done it. She grabbed her phone again and saw her company's WhatsApp group full of messages. "Madam, please respond immediately. Clients are threatening to pull out. Fix this before tomorrow." Her chest tightened. She threw the phone again and screamed. In that same moment, far away in her small dark room, Amara was drifting into sleep. Her baby's soft breathing filled the quiet. Chibuike lay on his own bed in his uncle's house, smiling as his phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications filled the screen. Likes, shares, comments. He whispered to himself, "They're seeing it. Everyone's seeing it." He didn't know how big it would become. He only knew he had done the right thing. And as Lagos City settled into the night, the rain clouds cleared completely, leaving a calm sky behind. But under that calm, storms of a different kind were just beginning to rise. Storms that would shake both Amara's world and Ngozi's life forever. The next morning came with a quiet breeze and the sound of people shouting across the street. Amara was still half asleep when she heard loud voices outside her small window. She sat up quickly, confused. Her baby, Chiamaka, stirred beside her and began to cry softly. Amara carried her in her arms, patting her back gently. "It's okay, my baby. Mama's here." She turned her head toward the window again as she heard someone say, "Did you see the video? The whole of Lagos is talking about it." Her heart skipped. Video? She remembered the boy, Chibuike. Her stomach turned. Could it be that the video he posted had really gone far? She stood up, tied her wrapper tightly, and stepped outside. The air smelled of fried akara and wet dust from yesterday's rain. A small group of people stood near the kiosk across the street, gathered around a phone. "That woman should be in jail," one man said angrily. "See how she laughed," another woman hissed. "Some people forget they were once poor." Amara froze. Her feet wouldn't move. She knew they were talking about her video. A teenage girl turned and noticed her. "Ah, look, that's the woman from the video." Everyone turned to stare. Some gasped, some smiled kindly, others whispered things she couldn't hear. Amara's face turned red with embarrassment. "Please," she said quietly, "stop looking at me like that." But the people were too excited to stop. One woman came forward. "My sister, that thing that woman did to you is wickedness. I saw the video this morning. You cried in the rain holding your baby. It broke my heart." Amara didn't know what to say. She only managed to whisper, "I didn't know it would go online. A man shook his head. Don't worry, you did nothing wrong. The internet is fighting for you now. She blinked. Fighting for me? Yes, the man said, showing her his phone. The screen showed thousands of comments. The video had gone viral overnight. There was her face, wet, covered in mud, crying as she picked up her oranges. Beneath it was Ngozi's smiling face in her car. Amara gasped. Oh my God! The man scrolled down. See? Everyone is talking. They want to find that woman. Even news pages have shared it. Amara stared at the screen, speechless. She didn't know how to feel. Grateful, scared, or ashamed. Please, she whispered. I don't want trouble. But it was too late. The world had already seen her pain. Meanwhile, across the city in her big glass house, Ngozi was sitting on the floor of her living room, surrounded by newspapers, phones, and open laptops. Her face looked pale. She hadn't slept all night. The sound of notifications filled the air, endless buzzing and pinging. Her assistant, a young woman named Lydia, stood nearby, looking nervous. Madam, it's getting worse, she said quietly. All your company pages are flooded with angry comments. People are canceling orders. Ngozi rubbed her forehead. It's just social media noise. It will die down. Lydia hesitated. Madam, it's not dying down. Even the news stations are talking about it now. Ngozi looked up sharply. News stations? Yes, Lydia said, showing her tablet. Channels TV, Arise, Pulse Nigeria. They all shared the story. Ngozi snatched the tablet and stared. There it was, bold and clear. Heartless businesswoman humiliates poor single mother. Video sparks outrage. Her mouth went dry. Who told them I'm a businesswoman? Who gave them my name? Lydia swallowed hard. Someone recognized your car plate number. They traced it back to your company. Ngozi's chest tightened. This can't be happening. Her phone rang again. Her business partner, Mr. Okafor. She answered quickly. Hello? His voice came sharp and cold. Ngozi, what have you done? Do you know the mess we're in? Please, calm down. Calm down, he shouted. Our clients are withdrawing. They don't want to be associated with a bully. It was just an accident, she said. People are exaggerating. I watched the video myself, he snapped. That wasn't an accident. You laughed while it happened. Ngozi's voice trembled. I didn't mean to. It doesn't matter what you meant. The whole country hates you right now. We're losing millions. The line went silent for a moment. Then he said coldly, you need to release a public apology immediately, or we'll be forced to remove your name from the board. Ngozi's heart dropped. You can't do that. We can, and we will, if you don't fix this by tomorrow. The line went dead. Ngozi dropped the phone, her hands shaking. Lydia stood frozen. What did he say, madam? Ngozi didn't answer. She just walked to the mirror and stared at her reflection. Her expensive silk robe, her perfect makeup, her polished nails. All of it suddenly looked meaningless. She whispered to herself, how can one small woman destroy everything I built? Lydia spoke softly. Madam, maybe you should say sorry. Ngozi spun around. Sorry? To who? That woman. She's nobody. Lydia looked away. Maybe she's not nobody anymore. For a moment, the only sound in the room was Ngozi's angry breathing. Then she waved her hand. Get out, she said quietly. Lydia hesitated. Madam, please don't. Get out, Ngozi shouted. The assistant grabbed her bag and hurried away, leaving Ngozi alone in silence. She turned back to the mirror. They want me to apologize, she muttered. Never. But deep down, fear was beginning to grow in her heart. At the same time, Chibuike sat in his small room, staring proudly at his phone. His post had exploded overnight. The video had millions of views and people were calling him brave. His uncle walked in, frowning. Chibuike, what are you doing with that phone again? Chibuike smiled. Uncle, I posted a video yesterday. It's everywhere now. The man folded his arms. Video of what? Chibuike explained everything. The woman, the splash, the crying mother. His uncle listened, eyes widening. So you're the one who posted that? He said slowly. Yes, uncle. Everyone is talking about it. Maybe that woman will learn her lesson now. His uncle sighed. You did well, but you also have to be careful. People like that don't forgive easily. Chibuike nodded but didn't stop smiling. Auntie Amara will finally get justice. Back in the small neighborhood, Amara sat outside her house holding her baby on her lap. Her neighbor Mama Nkiru joined her with a steaming cup of pap. "My sister, you are famous now," she said, handing her the cup. Amara looked tired. "Famous? That's not something I wanted." "But people love you," Mama Nkiru said. "They are calling you the Mother of Grace. Someone even said you're trending #1 on Twitter." Amara frowned. "I don't even know what that means." "It means everyone knows your story," Mama Nkiru said. "Some want to help you. One woman said she will send money to your account." Amara looked shocked. "To me? Why?" "Because you suffered. Because your tears touched hearts." Amara didn't know what to say. She looked down at her baby. "I don't want pity. I just want peace." Mama Nkiru smiled kindly. "Maybe this is how God will change your story." Just then, Chibuik ran into the compound, panting and smiling. "Auntie Amara, have you seen the news?" Amara shook her head. "No. What is it now?" He handed her his phone. "Look, they're saying the woman's company is in trouble. Everyone wants her to say sorry." Amara took the phone and read the headline. "Public anger grows as rich businesswoman refuses to apologize." She sighed. "I never wished her harm. I just wanted to be left alone." Chibuke shrugged. "Sometimes bad people need to lose before they learn." She handed the phone back. "You're too young to sound so old." He grinned. "That's what you said yesterday." Amara smiled faintly. "Yes, and I meant it." But deep inside, she was uneasy. She didn't like being the center of attention. She was just a poor woman trying to feed her child. She never asked for all this noise. Later that afternoon, in a tall office building on the island, Ngozi sat at her desk, staring at her computer. Her office once buzzed with activity, but now it was silent. Her employees avoided eye contact as they walked past. Her phone rang again. It was Amika, her fiancé. She grabbed it quickly. "Amika, finally! I've been trying to reach you." His voice was flat. "Ngozi, we need to talk." She forced a small laugh. "I know. This whole online drama is ridiculous, right? People exaggerate everything." He didn't laugh. "Ngozi, it's not ridiculous. My parents saw the video. My father said he doesn't want me marrying someone who treats people like trash." She froze. "What are you saying?" "I think we should take a break," he said quietly. Her hand trembled. "A break? You want to leave me because of this nonsense?" "I just need time to think," he said. "You've become someone I don't recognize." "Emeka, please. I have to go," he cut in. The line went dead. Ngozi dropped the phone and stared at nothing. The silence in the office felt heavier than ever. She stood up slowly and looked out the large window. The city stretched below her, busy, alive, full of people. But right now she felt completely alone. That night she tried to sleep, but her mind wouldn't rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the video playing again. Her face, her laughter, the splash of muddy water, the crying baby. She sat up and whispered, "What have I done?" Her maid knocked softly on the door. "Madam, are you okay?" "Leave me," Ngozi said weakly. The maid hesitated. "Madam, the driver said people are waiting outside the gate. Reporters." Ngozi's eyes widened. "Reporters?" "Yes, madam, they want you to make a statement." Ngozi jumped out of bed and went to the window. Through the curtains, she could see flashing lights and people holding microphones. She groaned. "Oh, God." Her phone buzzed again. Hundreds of new notifications, angry messages, threats, insults. She threw the phone on the bed and pressed her hands to her ears. "Make it stop," she shouted. But it didn't stop. The noise grew louder, not outside, but inside her head. Across town, Amara sat in her small room feeding her baby. Chibuike sat on the floor beside her, scrolling through his phone excitedly. "Auntie, someone just said they'll start a fundraiser for you." Amara looked up. "Fundraiser?" "Yeah, to help you start a fruit shop." Amara shook her head. "This is too much. I didn't want all this." Chibuki grinned. "Maybe it's your blessing." Amara smiled faintly. "Maybe." Outside, the rain began to fall again, light and calm this time. Amara looked out the window and whispered, "Rain doesn't always mean pain." Chibuik looked up from his phone. What did you say? Nothing, she said with a soft smile. Just thinking aloud. He went back to scrolling. The whole country knows your name now, Auntie Amara. Even the people abroad are talking about you. Amara sighed, looking at her sleeping baby. If fame can buy peace, maybe it's not so bad. But deep down, she still felt a quiet fear. A feeling that this story was far from over. And miles away in her dark mansion, Gozi sat alone, staring at her reflection again. Her eyes were red, her hair messy, her phone buzzing endlessly beside her. She whispered to herself, "They hate me now, all because of one moment." The rain outside grew heavier. The sound filled the room. She leaned against the window and closed her eyes. For the first time in her life, the proud rich woman felt powerless. And outside her gate, the world kept shouting her name. The morning light crept slowly into Ngozi's wide bedroom, cutting across the floor in quiet lines. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were swollen, her hair tangled, and her once perfect nails were chipped. Her phone lay beside her pillow, still buzzing nonstop. Every few minutes another message appeared, each one worse than the last. "Shame on you, heartless woman. God will punish you." She turned the phone face down, covering it with her hand as if that could stop the noise in her head. The words wouldn't stop echoing. The laughter in that video, her own laughter. The more she tried to forget it, the louder it became. Downstairs, she could hear her maid whispering with the driver. Their voices were low, but she caught bits of what they said. "Have you seen the news this morning? They say the company might close. Even her fiancé left her." Gozi sat up slowly, her heart sinking. "Even my staff," she muttered. She dragged herself to the bathroom. The large mirror reflected a woman she barely recognized. Her eyes were dull, her skin pale, and for the first time she noticed the fine lines around her mouth. She touched her face gently and whispered, "What have I become?" Her phone rang again. This time it was her father. She hesitated before answering. "Daddy!" His voice came through, stern and disappointed. "Ngozi, what am I hearing? You disgraced our family name." Her throat tightened. "Daddy, it was just what?" he interrupted. "Just humiliation, just cruelty. Do you know how many people have called me this morning? Please, I didn't mean for it to happen like that," she said weakly. He sighed deeply. "You've lost everything that matters, Ngozi. You have no respect left. Money can't wash this shame away." "Daddy, please don't say that." But he had already hung up. Ngozi stood there, phone still pressed to her ear, staring blankly at the tiled wall. A slow, painful feeling spread through her chest. Her father's words hurt more than the comments online. She went downstairs hoping to at least get some peace over breakfast. But even her house felt different now. The guards looked away when she passed. The maid, who used to greet her cheerfully, only murmured, "Good morning, Ma," before disappearing into the kitchen. Her driver, standing by the door, cleared his throat nervously. "Madam, should I bring the car out?" She frowned. "For what?" "For the meeting with the board members, Ma." She groaned softly. "They still want to meet?" "Yes, Mom. They said it's urgent." Ngozi took a deep breath and straightened her clothes. "Fine, let's go." At the office, the mood was tense. The lobby that used to welcome her with smiles and greetings now felt cold. People whispered as she walked past. Some stared at her. Others pretended not to notice. Her secretary looked frightened when she entered. "Good morning, Ma." Ngozi didn't respond. She just walked straight into the conference room. Inside, 5 of her company's top executives were already seated. Their faces were serious. Her business partner, Mr. Okafor, sat at the head of the table. He didn't even greet her. She forced a smile. "Gentlemen, good morning." No one replied. Okafor finally spoke. "Ngozi, sit down." She sat slowly. "I know why we're here," she began. "But please, you all know me. You know the kind of person I am. That video," he raised a hand, cutting her off. "We've watched it many times. We've also watched your interviews, your old videos, your marketing campaigns, and the public has made up its mind. They see you as a proud, arrogant woman who looks down on others." "That's not true," she said quickly. "It was just one bad moment. I was tired. The rain," he sighed. "Ngozi, stop. This isn't about excuses. This is about damage. We've lost 5 contracts since yesterday. Sponsors are pulling out. We can't afford to have your name attached to this company anymore." Her heart dropped. "What are you saying?" Another executive spoke. "We're asking you to step down, at least temporarily. Let the crisis cool off." "Step down?" she repeated, her voice shaking. "You want me to leave my own company?" "You built it, yes," Okafor said quietly. "But we helped it grow. Now we must protect it." She stood up, eyes wide with disbelief. "I gave 10 years of my life to this company, and you're turning your backs on me because of some online noise?" "It's not noise," Okafor said. "It's the voice of the people, and right now they don't want you." Ngozi's breathing quickened. "You're making a mistake." He looked at her sadly. "Maybe, but we have no choice." For a moment, no one said anything. Ngozi's chest rose and fell as she tried to stay calm. Then she picked up her handbag, her voice trembling. "Fine, but when this blows over, don't come begging me to return." She walked out of the room without looking back. Outside, she could feel everyone's eyes on her again. The whispers followed her like shadows. By the time she reached the car, her face was wet. Not from rain this time, but from tears. That evening, she drove alone to a quiet restaurant on the island. It used to be her favorite place, a spot where business people greeted her, waiters rushed to serve her, and soft music filled the air. But today, as she stepped inside, everything felt different. People at nearby tables turned their heads. Some whispered, some picked up their phones, pretending to scroll but secretly recording her. The waiter, a young man with kind eyes, approached hesitantly. "Good evening, Ma. Table for one?" "Yes," she said flatly. He led her to a corner. As she sat, she noticed two women at the next table staring openly. One of them whispered loudly, "That's her, the one who splashed the poor mother." The other woman gasped, "You're serious? The same woman from the video?" "Yes, look at her face. That's her." Ngozi clenched her jaw and looked away. The waiter brought a menu, but her hands were trembling too much to hold it. One of the women suddenly raised her voice. "You should be ashamed." The whole restaurant went silent. Everyone turned to look. Ngozi froze. "You laughed at a mother and her baby," the woman continued. "Now you sit here eating like nothing happened?" People started murmuring. Phones came out again. Someone said, "Record her." Ngozi stood up quickly. "I'm leaving." The waiter looked nervous. "Madam, please." But she was already walking out, head down, tears burning in her eyes. Outside, she stumbled to her car, breathing heavily, her vision blurred. The city lights seemed to spin around her. She leaned against the car door and whispered, "Why is everyone against me?" Her phone buzzed again. It was another message from a stranger. She unlocked it. The message read, "Even the rain couldn't wash your wickedness away." Her fingers shook as she dropped the phone. Across town, Amara was sitting quietly in her small room. The baby slept beside her. Chibuke sat on the floor, scrolling through his phone with excitement. "Auntie Amara," he said, "they're saying that woman's company might close down." Amara looked up from where she was mending her wrapper. "Close down? For what reason?" "Because everyone is boycotting her business," he said proudly. "No one wants to buy from her again." Amara sighed. "But that's too much. I didn't want her life to be destroyed." Chibuke frowned. "But she destroyed your day. She laughed at you like you were nothing." Amara shook her head slowly. "Two wrongs don't make a right, my child." He looked at her confused. "So you forgive her?" She smiled weakly. "I don't know yet, but holding anger won't feed my baby." He nodded, quiet now. "You're too kind, Auntie." Amara chuckled softly. "Kindness doesn't cost anything. Maybe that's why the rich forget it." They sat in silence for a moment. The small oil lamp flickered between them. Outside, the neighborhood buzzed with voices and laughter, but inside the room, there was only calm. Back in her mansion, Ngozi sat in the dark, staring at her phone again. She had turned off all the lights. The house, once full of people, now felt empty. Even her housekeeper had quietly packed her things that afternoon and left without saying goodbye. Her phone rang again, a video call. It was her mother this time. She hesitated before answering. Her mother's face appeared on the screen, eyes red from crying. "Ngozi," she said softly. "Mommy," Ngozi whispered. "My daughter, Why didn't you call me?" Ngozi swallowed hard. "Because I didn't want to hear disappointment in your voice too." Her mother sighed. "I'm not angry, my child. I'm sad. You let pride destroy your heart." "Mommy, I didn't think." Her mother nodded slowly. "That's the problem. You didn't think. You forgot what it means to be human." Tears rolled down Ngozi's cheeks. "I didn't mean to hurt her." "Then go and find her," her mother said gently. "Say sorry." Ngozi shook her head quickly. "No one will believe me now. They'll say I'm only doing it to save my name." Her mother looked at her sadly. "Sometimes you don't say sorry for others to believe you. You say it so you can live with yourself again." Ngozi didn't answer. The screen went dark. She sat there for a long time, the sound of her mother's words echoing in her mind. The next day she went out in disguise, a hoodie, sunglasses, plain jeans. She didn't want anyone to recognize her. Her driver took her through the old part of Lagos, where the streets were muddy and narrow. "Madam, where are we going?" the driver asked. "Just drive," she said quietly. "I'm looking for someone." They passed hawkers, roadside stalls, and children playing with old tires. Ngozi kept scanning the faces, but she didn't see Amara anywhere. Finally, she stopped near the same junction where the splash had happened. The puddle was still there, dry now. She stepped out and stood for a moment, staring at the ground. It looked ordinary, just a patch of dirt and gravel. But to her, it felt heavy. She could still hear her own laughter echoing in her head. A woman selling corn nearby looked up and frowned. "Madam, are you okay?" Ngozi nodded slowly. "Do you know a woman named Amara? She sells fruits here." The woman's eyes lit up. "Ah, the lady from the video. She doesn't come here anymore. They said she moved to another area." Ngozi's heart sank. "Do you know where?" The woman shook her head. "No, but God bless her. She suffered enough." Ngozi sighed and turned back to her car. "Take me home," she told the driver quietly. As the car rolled away, she looked out the window at the busy streets. People laughing, working, struggling, living. And for the first time in years, she realized how far she had drifted from them. She whispered to herself, "I just want to make it right." That night, she sat by the window, looking out at the city lights. The wind blew gently through the open curtains. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled again, soft and low, like a warning. Her company was gone. Her fiancé was gone. Even her father had turned away. All that was left was guilt. She whispered into the dark, "Please, God, just give me one chance to fix it." And far across town, Amara lay awake too, rocking her baby gently as the wind blew through her window. Two women, one rich, one poor, both wide awake in the same city, both thinking about the same rainy day that had changed their lives forever. The next morning, the sound of rain returned to Lagos. It fell softly this time, not in anger like before, but in a steady, gentle rhythm that touched every roof and window. Ngozi sat on her couch, staring at the gray sky through the large glass window. The house felt too quiet. Her phone lay silent beside her. No more calls from business partners, no more messages from friends. Everyone had left. For the first time in her life, Ngozi felt small. Her expensive mansion now felt like a cage. She couldn't stop thinking about the face of the woman she had splashed. That poor mother crying in the rain, clutching her baby. The image haunted her. She stood up, pacing. "I have to find her," she said aloud. Her maid peeked from the doorway. "Madam?" Ngozi turned sharply. "The woman in the video, the one with the baby. Do you know her name?" The maid shook her head quickly. "No, madam, but everyone in the market is talking about her. Maybe if you go there." Ngozi grabbed her handbag. "Then that's where I'll start." "Madam," the maid said carefully, "are you sure that's a good idea? People are angry." Ngozi sighed. "I don't care. I just need to see her." An hour later, Ngozi's car drove through the crowded streets of Lagos. She wore dark glasses and a simple scarf to cover her hair. The driver glanced at her in the mirror. "Madam, should I park near the market?" "Yes, I'll walk from there," she said quietly. The car stopped near a row of stalls. Ngozi stepped out, pulling her scarf tighter around her face. The air smelled of roasted corn, wet sand, and frying oil. Children ran past laughing. Traders shouted prices, waving fruits and vegetables in the air. She looked around nervous. People were watching her, not because they recognized her, but because she didn't belong there. Her clean shoes and soft hands made her stand out. A woman selling tomatoes called out, "Fine, madam, come and buy fresh ones." Ngozi shook her head. "No, thank you. Please, I'm looking for someone." The woman frowned. "Who?" "Her name is Amara. She sells fruits. She was in that video." Before she could finish, another woman nearby gasped. "You mean the woman who that wicked lady splashed?" Ngozi's chest tightened. "Yes, her." The tomato seller leaned closer. "Why are you looking for her?" Ngozi hesitated. I want to help." The woman eyed her suspiciously. "Help or cause more trouble?" Ngozi took off her glasses slowly. "Please," she said softly. "I was the one who splashed her." The market suddenly went quiet around her. Every head turned. The women stared in shock. One of them dropped the basket she was holding. "You?" the tomato seller whispered. "You're that woman?" Ngozi nodded slowly. "Yes." A young man selling plantains shouted, "So you've come here to mock her again?" "No!" Ngozi cried. "I came to say sorry." But her voice only made the crowd grow louder. People murmured angrily, pointing fingers. "Leave our market," someone shouted. "Go and beg God, not us." "You're wicked." Ngozi raised her hands. "Please, I didn't mean—" Before she could finish, the tomato seller stepped in front of her. "Go home, madam. This is not the place for you. That woman left this area weeks ago. She doesn't sell here anymore." Ngozi's voice trembled. "Do you know where she went?" The woman shook her head. "No one knows, but you should pray she never sees you again." Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. "Please, or if she comes back, tell her I'm sorry." The woman didn't reply. She just turned away. Ngozi walked back to her car slowly. People still stared. Some whispered. Others took pictures. She kept her head down, trying to hold her tears until she got inside. When she entered the car, her driver asked quietly, "Madam, did you find her?" Ngozi shook her head. "No, she's gone." He started the car. "Maybe it's for the best." "No," Ngozi said softly. "It's not. I can't rest until I see her." Back in her mansion, Ngozi sat on the couch, drained. She turned on the TV and flipped through the channels. Every news station was still showing her story, but something new caught her attention. A live interview on a talk show. The screen showed Amara sitting on a small sofa, her baby in her lap, looking calm but shy. The host smiled warmly. "Viewers," the host said, "we have with us today Amara, the woman from the viral video that touched the whole nation." Ngozi leaned forward, her eyes wide. "There she is." Amara spoke softly into the microphone. "That day was hard. I felt like the world hated me. But now I'm just grateful people showed kindness. Not everyone is bad." The audience clapped. The host smiled. "Have you heard from the woman who splashed you?" Amara shook her head. "No, but I don't hate her. Maybe she didn't know what she did would hurt that much." Ngozi's throat tightened. She felt tears welling up. Amara's words were gentle, not angry. She expected hate, but there was none. The host asked, "What do you want people to learn from your story?" Amara smiled faintly. "That money doesn't make you better than anyone, and kindness doesn't cost anything." The audience clapped again. Ngozi covered her mouth with her hand. Her vision blurred. For the first time since everything began, she broke down completely. "I don't deserve her forgiveness," she whispered. The next morning she called her assistant, Lydia. The young woman hesitated before answering. "Madam," Ngozi's voice was calm but weak. "Lydia, please come to the house. I need your help." When Lydia arrived, she looked surprised. "Madam, you look different." Ngozi smiled faintly. She wore a plain dress, no makeup, no jewelry. "I'm done pretending," she said quietly. "What do you want me to do?" Lydia asked. "I want to find that woman," Ngozi said. "I saw her on TV. There must be a contact for that show." Lydia nodded slowly. "I'll check online." She searched on her tablet for a few minutes. "Here it is. The program's number." Ngozi exhaled in relief. "Call them." Lydia dialed the number and spoke politely. "Good afternoon. I'm calling on behalf of Ngozi Okeke. Yes, the woman from the viral video. The person on the other end paused. Then after a few seconds, Lydia's eyes widened. Yes? Oh, thank you. Yes, we'll be there. She ended the call and turned to Ngozi. They said Amara will be attending another event tomorrow. A charity program for women. Ngozi stood up quickly. Where? At the city hall. Ngozi nodded firmly. Then that's where I'll go. The next day, she arrived early at the city hall. The place was decorated with white and blue banners. Women in colorful dresses were setting up stalls and chairs. Ngozi wore a long, simple gown and kept her head covered with a scarf. She didn't want to draw attention. She walked through the crowd quietly until she saw her. Amara. Amara stood near a table filled with baskets of fruits. She was smiling, talking to another woman, her baby tied to her back. She looked peaceful, nothing like the broken woman from their video. Ngozi froze. Her heart raced. For a moment, she didn't know what to do. Should she walk up to her? Should she wait? Then Amara turned slightly and their eyes met. Everything around them seemed to stop. Amara's smile faded slowly. Her face showed surprise, then confusion. She stared for a long time, trying to be sure it was really her. Ngozi took a deep breath and walked forward, her hands trembling. Amara, she said softly. People nearby turned to look. Amara didn't move. You? She said quietly. Ngozi nodded, tears already forming. Yes, it's me. What are you doing here? Amara asked carefully. Ngozi's voice broke. I came to say sorry. There was silence. People nearby were watching now, whispering. Amara looked at her closely. Sorry, she repeated. Ngozi nodded again. I was cruel. I was proud. I didn't see you as a person that day. I just saw the mud, not your pain. I've lost everything since then, but maybe I needed to. Please forgive me. Her voice shook as tears ran down her cheeks. Amara looked down at her baby, who was tugging at her wrapper. The child smiled up at her. Slowly, Amara sighed. I don't hate you, she said quietly, but forgiveness isn't words. It's change. Ngozi nodded quickly. Then I'll change. I swear. Amara's eyes softened. Good, because anger doesn't heal anyone. I stopped being angry a long time ago. Ngozi stared at her in disbelief. You forgave me already? Amara smiled faintly. Yes, the day I stopped crying. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them felt still, heavy with emotion. Then someone nearby clapped softly. Others joined in. Soon, the small crowd around them began to applaud quietly. Ngozi turned away, embarrassed, wiping her tears. Amara stepped forward and placed a hand gently on her arm. Don't be ashamed, she said softly. Sometimes God breaks our pride to teach us kindness. Ngozi nodded, her lips trembling. Thank you, Amara smiled again. If you really want to make it right, help others like me. That will mean more than any apology. Ngozi swallowed hard. I will, I promise. Later that evening, Ngozi sat in her car parked outside the hall, staring out the window. Lydia sat beside her, quiet. Did she forgive you? Lydia asked softly. Ngozi smiled weakly. Yes, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like mercy. Lydia nodded. What will you do now? Ngozi looked out at the busy road, where people walked under umbrellas in the soft rain. I'll start over, she said. This time, not as a businesswoman, as a human being. Lydia smiled. That sounds like a better job. Ngozi chuckled softly, the first real laugh she'd had in weeks. Yes, it does. As they drove away, the rain began to fall again. Not hard, not cruel, just soft and calm. Ngozi looked up through the windshield and whispered, Maybe the rain is washing me clean this time. She smiled faintly, remembering Amara's calm face. Somewhere in that hall, a poor woman with nothing had shown her what true wealth really meant, compassion. And as the city lights blurred behind her car, Ngozi knew her journey wasn't over. It had just begun. The sun rose softly over the city, its light falling on a small roadside shop built with old wood and a sheet of blue tarpaulin. Inside the shop stood Amara, arranging baskets of fruits on a small wooden table. Her hands moved quickly, her face calm but focused. On her back, her baby, Chiamaka, slept peacefully. It had been 2 months since the video changed her life. Things were different now. She was no longer the scared woman who cried in the rain. The world had seen her pain, and somehow, that pain had opened doors she never thought existed. After the video went viral, people began searching for her. One day, a woman from a charity foundation found her and offered to help. They gave her a small place to live, food for her baby, and money to start her fruit business again. They even registered her for business training. Amara had cried when she heard the news. "I didn't do anything special," she said softly. But the woman smiled and replied, "You didn't have to. The world just needed to see your strength." Now, as she stood in her shop, arranging oranges and pineapples, she felt that strength inside her. Her baby was healthier, her smile brighter, her heart lighter. At the entrance of the shop, Chibuike appeared, holding a bag of snacks. "Auntie Amara," he shouted. Amara turned and smiled. "Ah, my little hero," he grinned proudly. "I told you something good would happen." She laughed. "Yes, you did. I don't know how to thank you." Chibuike shrugged. "Just give me free oranges for life." Amara giggled. "You'll finish my business that way." He opened his bag and handed her a newspaper. "Look, you're in the news again." She frowned. "What this time?" He pointed to the headline. "The Mother of Grace inspires hope for single mothers." Amara's eyes widened. She looked down at her photo on the page, smiling, holding her baby in front of her fruit stand. Chibuike said proudly, "You're famous now. Everyone loves you." Amara smiled faintly. "Fame doesn't feed babies, but it feels nice to be seen." That afternoon, the woman from the charity foundation, Mrs. Bello, came to visit. She was tall and kind, always wearing bright colors that made her look cheerful. "Amara," she called, "you've become a celebrity. Even the radio talks about you." Amara laughed. "I'm just selling fruits, Ma." Mrs. Bello smiled warmly. "You're doing more than that. You're showing women that life can change. That's why we want you to speak at our charity event tomorrow." Amara froze. "Me? Speak?" "Yes," Mrs. Bello said. "You'll tell your story. Just be yourself. The world already loves your voice." Amara hesitated. "I don't know if I can." Mrs. Bello touched her shoulder. "You can, trust me." That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She sat by her baby's bed, watching her chest rise and fall. The memory of that rainy day still lived in her heart. She could still see the flash of muddy water, hear the cruel laughter. She whispered softly, "If only that woman could see me now." Across town in her quiet mansion, Ngozi sat in her living room watching television. The room was dark, her face lit only by the glow of the screen. A new headline appeared. "Mother of Grace to speak at charity event tomorrow?" Ngozi leaned forward. There was Amara, her face calm, her eyes kind, her baby on her lap. The same woman she had humiliated now stood tall in front of the world. Ngozi's chest tightened. "She forgave me," she whispered, "but I've not forgiven myself." She turned off the TV and sat back, staring into the silence. Lydia, her assistant, entered quietly. "Madam, you should eat something." Ngozi shook her head. "I'm not hungry." Lydia hesitated. "I saw the news." "Are you going to the event?" Ngozi looked up slowly. "Maybe I should." "Are you sure?" Lydia asked softly. "People still hate you." "I don't care," Ngozi said firmly. "I'm not going there to protect my name. I'm going there to make peace." The next day, the city hall was full of color. Women in bright wrappers and headscarves filled the seats. Banners hung from the walls. Women of Grace Foundation, lifting others through love. Ngozi arrived quietly, wearing a simple blue gown and no makeup. She sat at the back, head lowered, hoping no one would notice her. On stage, Amara sat beside Mrs. Bello, holding her baby. Her palms were sweaty. When the host called her name, she stood up slowly, her heart pounding. The crowd clapped as she walked to the microphone. Amara smiled nervously. "Good afternoon, everyone." Her voice was soft at first, but as she continued, it grew stronger. 2 months ago, she said, I was just a fruit seller. Life was hard, but I still smiled. Then one rainy day, something happened that changed everything. A car splashed dirty water on me and my baby. The driver laughed and drove away. The crowd murmured sadly. I thought my life was over, Amara continued. But that day someone recorded the video. It went around the world. I was angry at first, but then people showed me kindness. Strangers who didn't even know me. That's how I learned that one moment of pain can lead to something bigger. She paused, her voice trembling slightly. I don't hate that woman anymore. Maybe God used her to push me into the light. The crowd clapped softly. At the back of the hall, Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. Her heart pounded. Every word hit her like a wave. When the applause died down, Amara added, if I could say something to her today, I'd tell her that I forgave her the day I stopped crying. Ngozi covered her mouth to hold back a sob. Lydia looked at her. Madam, do you want to leave? Ngozi shook her head. No, I want to face her. After the event, people surrounded Amara, shaking her hand, taking pictures. Mrs. Bello stood beside her proudly. You spoke beautifully, she said. Amara smiled shyly. I was shaking the whole time. Then from across the hall, she saw a familiar figure. A woman in a simple blue dress walking slowly toward her. Amara's smile faded. Her heart skipped. The crowd around her went quiet, whispering. Ngozi stopped a few feet away, her eyes red with tears. Amara, she said softly. The hall fell silent. Everyone knew who she was. Amara stood still, her baby shifting on her back. Ngozi took a deep breath. I came to find you, she said, her voice trembling. I've lost everything because of what I did to you. But the truth is, I deserved it. I was proud, blind, and heartless that day. You didn't deserve my cruelty. The air in the hall felt heavy. Some people crossed their arms, glaring at Ngozi, while others just watched in silence. Ngozi continued, tears streaming down her face. I didn't come here to ask for sympathy. I came to ask for forgiveness. Amara looked at her quietly. Why now? Ngozi wiped her face. Because I couldn't sleep anymore. Every night I saw your face in my mind. You were the only thing that kept me awake. I thought money would buy peace, but it didn't. The only peace I want now is your forgiveness. The baby made a soft sound. Amara touched her daughter's back gently, still looking at Ngozi. After a long pause, she spoke. I forgave you already. You just didn't know. Ngozi froze. You forgave me? Amara nodded. Yes, forgiveness isn't for people who deserve it. It's for those who need it. Ngozi covered her mouth, sobbing. You're a better woman than I am. Amara smiled faintly. Maybe not. Maybe I just understand pain better. Ngozi hesitated, then knelt down slowly in front of her. Please, let me make it right. Let me help you in any way I can. Amara's eyes widened. Stand up, please. You don't need to do that. I do, Ngozi said, because the day I laughed at you, I forgot what it meant to be human, and you reminded me. Amara bent down and touched her shoulder gently. Then let's both stand. The past is gone. Ngozi stood up slowly, tears still running down her face. The crowd around them began to clap softly. Mrs. Bello wiped her own eyes, smiling. Ngozi looked at the baby and said softly, She's beautiful. Amara smiled. She's my reason for everything. Ngozi nodded. She should be proud of her mother. Amara looked at her kindly. She will be if I keep teaching her to forgive. Later that evening, after everyone had gone, Ngozi and Amara sat outside the hall under a big mango tree. The air was cool. Streetlights glowed faintly nearby. Ngozi broke the silence. I used to think power meant never bowing to anyone, but today I realize real power is in humility. Amara smiled. Sometimes life breaks us to rebuild us better. Ngozi nodded. You're right. I want to do something with my life now. Something that helps others. Amara turned to her. Then help those who still live in the kind of pain I lived in. Ngozi looked thoughtful. A foundation, maybe. Amara smiled. That would be a good start. They sat quietly for a while. Somewhere nearby, a child laughed. Ngozi turned to her and said, You know, when I first saw you that day, I didn't see your face clearly. But now, I'll never forget it. Amara chuckled softly. I'll never forget yours either, though the memory is less painful now. They both laughed lightly, a laughter filled not with bitterness, but peace. As the night grew darker, Ngozi stood up. I should go. Amara nodded. Take care of yourself. Ngozi smiled. You too. Before leaving, she reached into her bag and placed an envelope on Amara's table. Please don't say no, she said gently. It's not for pity, it's for partnership. Maybe we can open a fruit store together. The House of Grace. Amara looked at the envelope but didn't open it. She simply smiled and said, "We'll see." Ngozi smiled back. "Good night, Amara." "Good night, Ngozi." As Ngozi's car drove away, Amara stood under the mango tree, watching the taillights fade into the distance. The rain began to fall again, soft, quiet, and cleansing. She lifted her face toward the sky, letting the drops touch her skin. "Maybe some rains don't come to destroy," she whispered. "Maybe they come to wash us clean." From that day on, two women, once divided by pride and pain, began walking new paths that would one day meet again in kindness. And though their worlds were different, both finally learned the same truth. Real strength is not in wealth or power, it is in forgiveness. The morning after the charity event, Lagos woke up to something new. Everywhere, on phones, televisions, and radio stations, people were talking about one thing: the moment Ngozi Okeke knelt down publicly before the woman she had once humiliated. Clips of the scene spread fast. In the video, Ngozi's voice trembled as she said, "I was blind by pride. Please let my mistake be a lesson to others." And beside her stood Amara, holding her baby, her face calm and kind. The internet that had once cursed Ngozi now buzzed with shock. Some mocked her, some forgave her, but most said the same thing: this is what change looks like. In her small shop, Amara sat behind her table of fruits as the afternoon sun poured gently through the tarpaulin roof. Chibuike ran in holding his phone. "Auntie Amara, you're on TV again." She looked up, surprised. "Again?" "Yes, but this time everyone is praising you and her together. They're calling it the apology that touched a nation." Amara laughed softly. "People talk too much, my child. I just want peace." Chibuike grinned. "You already have it. Look." He showed her the comments. People promising to donate to single mothers, companies offering to support her business, even schools asking her to speak about forgiveness. Mira shook her head slowly. "I never planned for any of this." "That's what makes it special," Chibuike said proudly. Meanwhile, in her mansion, Ngozi sat by the window holding a newspaper. The headline read, "From Pride to Purpose, How One Woman's Apology Changed a Nation." She smiled faintly. For the first time in months, her heart felt light. Lydia entered quietly with a tray of tea. "Madam, everyone's calling to praise you," Ngozi sighed. "It's not praise I want. I just want to do better." She looked out the window thoughtfully. "Do you know something, Lydia? I used to think my biggest success was money. Now I see it's the chance to start again." "What will you do now, madam?" Lydia asked. Ngozi smiled softly. "I'm starting a foundation, one that helps poor mothers rebuild their lives. I'll call it the Grace Project." Lydia smiled. "That's beautiful, madam." Ngozi nodded. "It's named after the woman who taught me grace." Weeks later, the Grace Project launched with fanfare. Cameras flashed as Ngozi stood on stage. No longer the proud businesswoman from before, but a humbled one. Behind her, a large banner carried two faces, hers and Amara's, side by side under the words, "Forgiveness builds, pride destroys." Ngozi gave a short speech, her voice firm but warm. "Once I used my car to throw mud at someone. Today I want to use my hands to lift others out of it." The crowd clapped, cameras rolled, and sitting in the front row, smiling proudly, was Amara, her baby asleep in her arms. After the event, Ngozi walked up to her. "You came," she said softly. Amara smiled. "I promised to support you." Ngozi took her hand. "Thank you. None of this would exist without you." Amara looked around at the women standing in line. Widows, single mothers, and street vendors, all waiting to receive support from the foundation. "It's not about me," she said gently. "It's about giving others the chance we both found." Ngozi nodded. "Then we'll do it together." Months passed and life settled into peace again. Amara's small fruit shop grew into a bigger one. Grace and Water. The name drew customers from all over. She employed two other single mothers and often said with pride, "We're not just selling fruits, we're selling second chances." One warm afternoon, Ngozi visited the shop. She wore a simple dress, her hair tied in a scarf, her smile quiet and real. Amara looked up and beamed. "Ngozi, you came." Ngozi laughed softly. "You know I can't stay away from your pineapples." They both laughed. Chibuike, now taller and more confident, waved from the back. "Good afternoon, madam." Ngozi waved back. "Chibuike, the young journalist himself." He grinned. "Without me, no video, no story." Ngozi chuckled. "True. You started a storm that changed lives." He smiled proudly. "And it's still changing them." Ngozi turned to Amara and handed her a small basket filled with bright oranges. "For you," she said. Amara looked at the basket and smiled softly. "It's funny. That day, oranges were the last thing I picked up from the mud, and now they're a gift." Ngozi nodded. "Life has a way of coming full circle." They both stood quietly for a moment, the memory of that rainy day passing between them like a shadow that no longer hurt. Amara looked around at the smiling women working in her shop. "Do you ever think about that day?" she asked. Ngozi took a deep breath. "Every day, but not with pain anymore. With gratitude. Because that day broke me enough to rebuild me, right?" Amara smiled. "Then maybe that rain wasn't a curse after all." Ngozi laughed softly. "No, it was a blessing that came wearing mud." As evening settled, they sat outside the shop, watching people pass by. The street was busy, filled with life. Children ran past with ice cream, traders packed up their goods, and the smell of roasted corn filled the air. Ngozi looked at Amara. "You know, you could run this place even bigger. Maybe a branch in Lekki?" Amara laughed. "Slow down, one step at a time." Ngozi smiled. "You've changed me, Amara. You really have." Amara turned to her with a soft look. "And you've shown me that even people who hurt us can still do good." A soft breeze passed, carrying the faint sound of laughter from down the street. Amara's baby woke and began giggling. Ngozi reached out and tickled her tiny hand. "What's her name again?" Ngozi asked. "Chiamaka," Amara replied proudly. "It means God is beautiful." Ngozi smiled. "He truly is." They sat quietly, watching the sunset melt into orange and gold. It looked like the world itself was forgiving them too, washing away every trace of anger, shame, and pain. Finally, Amara whispered, "The day you splashed me, I thought my life was ending. But maybe it was just beginning." Ngozi's eyes glistened. "And maybe that splash wasn't meant to stain. It was meant to wake us both up." They smiled at each other. The noise of the city faded for a moment, replaced by the peace that comes when two hearts finally heal. As the camera of a curious passerby captured them laughing together, the picture spread online that night. Two women from different worlds, sitting side by side, smiling beneath the same sky. And this time, the caption read simply, "The rain that once divided them has now washed them clean." From that day, grace and water became a symbol across Lagos. A story parents told their children, teachers shared in classrooms, and strangers repeated in buses. It wasn't a tale about fame or punishment. It was about kindness, forgiveness, and how one act of cruelty can still be turned into something beautiful. And as for Amara and Ngozi, they never forgot what brought them together. Because sometimes in the noise of the world, it takes a single drop of rain and a single act of grace to remind everyone that humanity still lives.